Day 5 of Buffalo Bills training camp brought a surge of energy, intensity, and some real fireworks on the defensive side of the ball, but that momentum hit a wall with a worrying trend that's beginning to take center stage injuries. The defense may have stolen the show with an aggressive punch-you-in-the-mouth type of performance, but for fans, coaches, and players alike, it's impossible to ignore the growing list of names being added to the injury report. And when one of those names is your first-round pick, yeah, that's when things start to feel heavy. Let's start right at the heart of it. Maxwell Harrison, the rookie cornerback out of Kentucky, the guy many were hoping would eventually slide into a starting role across from Christian Benford, went down during individual drills with what's being described as a non-contact slip. You know the kind. The kind that makes everyone on the sideline hold their breath, because those are often the ones that lead to the worst news. The training staff immediately swarmed him. They checked his knee. Harrison eventually got up and walked off with the help of trainers, which sure is better than being carted off. But let's not pretend that makes the situation less serious. It didn't look good. After practice, even veteran nickelback Taron Johnson admitted the team held a group prayer for Harrison. That tells you everything you need to know. This wasn't just a tweak. This was a locker room holding its breath for a teammate who might be staring down a long road ahead. And here's where things get really complicated. Even before the injury, Harrison was already in a tough spot. Tre'Davious White had come into camp on a mission. A veteran presence with all-pro pedigree who, let's be honest, many had written off after back-to-back injury-riddled seasons. He was waived by the Rams last year after just 4 games and picked up by the Ravens as a rotational piece. Now in Buffalo, he's quietly becoming one of the stars of training camp. He's been sticky in coverage, confident, twitchy, and vocal. He looks healthy. More importantly, he looks like a technician again. And with Christian Benford already penciled in on one side, White was making it hard for Harrison to even sniff that starting job. But now, if Harrison can't get on the field, the competition is essentially over before it ever really began. That's a gut punch for the Bills, who invested premium capital in Harrison and had hopes he'd be a difference maker from day one. It's still early, we don't have an official diagnosis, but based on what players are saying and how the injury played out, optimism feels in short supply. And while all this is unfolding in the cornerback room, the injuries are hardly isolated. This isn't just one player. This is a pileup. It's Spencer Brown with a back injury. It's Cedric Van Pran dealing with a calf issue. Tyrell Shavers is out with an ankle. Curtis Samuel still battling a hamstring. Caden Prather and Elijah Moore both out. That's 5 wide receivers not available. At one point, Josh Allen was throwing reps to Steven Gosnell and Deon Cain. Yes, really, because the depth chart has been decimated. Even Dawson Knox sat out with a hamstring tweak. Terrell Bernard not practicing. Dorian Williams, same thing. KJ Hamler and Mike Edwards, both pulled due to heat-related issues. This isn't just the bottom of the roster missing time. These are projected starters, key contributors, depth pieces. Guys you need healthy to install the playbook, develop chemistry, and build the identity of the team. And here's the hard truth reps matter. You can say it's early and sure, it's only late July. But whether it's a star right tackle missing install sessions or a rookie receiver trying to earn his way onto the roster, these practices are critical. Every lost rep is a lost opportunity to grow, to gel, to compete. Coaches may frame it as precaution, and maybe in some cases that's true, but the cumulative impact is real. It's difficult to prepare for a grueling 17-game season when half your depth chart is watching in street clothes. Now, despite all this chaos, there was a bright spot, and that's the defense. Man, did they bring the juice. The focus of the practice was 3rd and long situations and 2-minute drills. And the defense absolutely set the tone. Ryan Nielsen's influence on this unit is becoming impossible to ignore. The Bills dialed up 5-man pressures all practice long. They brought blitzes from the slot. Linebackers flew through the air gaps. It was aggressive, disruptive, chaotic. In all the right ways. This is not going to be a defense that sits back and reacts. This is a defense that wants to dictate, that wants to punch first. You saw Josh Allen forced to take checkdowns. You saw the ball coming out quicker than he wanted. You saw miscommunication, hesitation, and frustration from the offense. Meanwhile, the pass rushers were feasting. Greg Rousseau continues to build on what's been a phenomenal camp. His ability to collapse the pocket using pure power is tailor-made for this attacking scheme. AJ Epinezer's been right there with him, showing off a quick get-off from violent hands. Ed Oliver has been a menace. He had a standout run-stuffing day previously, and now he's flashing as a pass rusher, again living in the backfield with constant disruption. Shaq Thompson, yes Shaq Thompson, had a sack and continues to look surprisingly effective for a guy on the wrong side of 30 coming off 2 season-ending injuries. He's seeing plenty of first-team reps and is making plays in coverage, blitzing, and sniffing out the run. He might just force his way onto the final 53. And while the headliners are making noise, there's also a group of younger players earning praise for the way they're competing. Landon Jackson, Dayon Walker, TJ Sanders, all defensive linemen getting hard reps, exploding off the ball, playing with intensity. It's still early and evaluations are limited, but the effort, the motor, that's there. You can see it. And in a preseason where depth is going to be tested, that matters. Matt Milano might have had the play of the day. He baited Josh Allen into an interception by disguising his zone drop and sinking underneath a route intended for Dalton Kincaid. Milano read it like a book jumped the route and made a pick. Textbook. He's been everywhere, flying around in coverage, attacking the run, blitzing with intent. He looks like a player on a mission, and if the Bills defense is going to carry, this team early Milano's the heartbeat. Trey White had a pass breakup that turned heads. Josh Allen tried to go vertical to Josh Palmer, and while there was a window at first, White recovered with his trademark closing speed and swatted it away at a catch point. That's the version of White that makes a difference. That's the version the Bills need. Offensively, there were a few flashes. Josh Allen connected on a deep shot to, you guessed it, Stephen Gosnell. The undrafted rookie from Virginia Tech has been quietly stacking days, and the fact that he's getting first-team reps with Allen is no accident. Mitch Trubisky also connected on a bomb to Deion Kane. With all the injuries at receiver, he's under Theodore. Names are getting real chances and some are making the most of it. We also saw some offensive wrinkles. The pistol formation made an appearance with James Cook lined up deep and Reggie Gilliam beside Allen. The two-back looks were frequent mixing combinations like Ty Johnson and Ray Davis or Cook and Gilliam. And how about this? The Bills ran a hook and lateral play 3 times during practice. Not something you usually see in late July. But the execution was clean and it injected some fun into a practice that's been mostly dominated by the defense. One name to keep an eye on, Jackson Hall. The tight end has been rock solid as a blocker. No surprise there. But what's more interesting is his ability to contribute in the passing game. With DAWSON KNOX missing time and Dalton Kincaid, limited Hall has gotten plenty of first-team reps. He's not stretching the field, but he's finding soft spots in zone running, clean, underneath routes, and moving the chains. That versatility could buy him a longer look as the preseason rolls on. And then there's Khalil Shakir. The Bills have needed someone to step up and stretch the field from the slot, and it looks like Shakir is starting to do that. He's always been dangerous after the catch, but in his practice, he was pushing vertical routes more often, running slot fades and getting open deeper down the field. That's an element this offense was missing, and if he can unlock that part of his game, it opens up a lot for Joe Brady's attack. Still, as exciting as some of these performances have been, it all comes back to the injuries. You can't ignore it. Maxwell Harrison might be out long term. Spencer Brown is still on the sideline. Half your wide receiver room isn't practicing. Linebackers are down. Safeties are banged up. And the list keeps growing. Even Ty Johnson and Cole Bishop didn't finish Tuesday's practice. And while they stayed on the field in uniform, which is better than limping to the locker room, it's just another reminder that this team is walking a fine line right now. The Bills have a day off coming up, and honestly, it couldn't come at a better time. They need it. Players need treatment, coaches need to reassess, and fans need a moment to catch their breath. Because this camp has been full throttle since day one, and the bodies are starting to feel it. Coming up next, we'll break down some more of the offensive wrinkles, look closer at the young standouts who are turning heads, and talk about 5 players flying under the radar that you might want to start paying closer attention to as preseason rolls in. While the Bills' defense made its mark in camp, what's quietly building just beneath the surface is a collection of lesser-known players who are taking advantage of every snap, every rep, every open lane created by all these injuries. And an in The NFL, where roster turnover is the norm and depth wins championships, it's these names, the ones you don't hear every day, that could end up making the biggest difference down the line. Let's start with Stephen Gosnell, the undrafted rookie wide receiver out of Virginia Tech. Has been one of the most intriguing developments of this camp. He's not just getting reps because the receiver room is depleted. He's earning trust. When Josh Allen drops back and throws a deep bomb in full stride to a guy who's barely known outside of Blacksburg, that matters. That's not just filler reps. No, that's chemistry being built. That's coaches saying, let's see what this kid can really do. And so far, he's doing a lot, whether it's first team reps or work with the backups. Gosnell is consistently getting open, making contested catches and fielding punts on special teams. He might not make the 53-man roster, not yet. But if there's a breakout name from preseason that fans will be chanting for, this guy is at the top of the list. And it's not just the receivers. Travis Clayton, the rugby player turned offensive tackle, is another underdog story unfolding in real time. Drafted in the 7th round through the NFL's International Pathway program, Clayton is still raw. You can see it. He's not consistent with his hand placement. He struggles to reset against speed and at times looks like someone who hasn't played the game for long because he hasn't. But what's remarkable is that even with all that he's still holding, his own in one-and-owns, he's competing. And what that shows is a foundation. If he ends up getting snaps during preseason games, that will speak volumes. NFL offensive line coaches don't throw guys into live game reps unless they can function. Unless they won't blow up the entire offense just by being on the field. If Clayton gets in the mix, it means they believe he can survive out there. And that's no small thing. The secondary has also seen its share of names emerge. Juandai Owens, another undrafted rookie, has flashed instincts and physicality at safety. He had one of the cleanest hits of the week, a downhill thump on a run fill that showed both awareness and aggression. He's competing hard on special teams and bringing a level of intentionality that coaches love in developmental prospects. No one's handing him a job, but these are the kinds of guys you keep on the practice squad. Let them marinate, let them grow. You blink and they're contributing. A year later, Zion Logue is another name not getting enough attention. The defensive tackle has transformed his body since his time with the Falcons. Now with Buffalo, he looks like a true one-tech, dense, powerful stout at the point of attack. He's not just eating blocks either. He's showing real discipline. With his hands, good leverage and consistent effort on every snap. This is a player who looks far more polished now than he did last year. And when you're in a system that's relying on aggressive fronts and creative pressure, looks having rotational depth that understands the assignment is crucial. He's quietly putting himself into that conversation. And then there's Casey Rogers. His build doesn't immediately jump out, but his motor does. The guy doesn't quit on plays. He's explosive off the snap. And even when he loses leverage early, he fights back into the play. That kind of effort stands out, especially in training camp, where eyes are everywhere and hustle gets noticed. For guys like Rogers, you don't need a sack or a highlight play to make an impression. You just need to be relentless. And he's doing that. This is what training camp is really about. Everyone talks about the stars. Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, Matt Milano, Von Miller, and rightly so. But the long-term success of a franchise like Buffalo isn't built solely on star power. It's built on the emergence of role players. The guys who come out of nowhere fight their way onto the roster and wind up making big contributions in Week 13 when injuries strike again. And the Bills, even with all their early setbacks, are starting to see some of that depth rise to the surface. Back to the defense, there's something special brewing with the way this unit is taking shape. Ryan Nielsen's influence is being felt everywhere. Whether it's the five-man pressures, the rotating fronts, or the disguised blitzes, the entire identity of this defense is evolving. Gone is the soft sit-back-and-react approach. This is a defense that's attacking. That's putting offenses in uncomfortable situations. That's testing the limits of their own secondary and linebacker group by putting them in pressman and tight zone looks. And the payoff is already showing. Matt Milano looks like a man possessed. His interception during Tuesday's practice wasn't just a good read. It was a veteran baiting one of the best quarterbacks in football. He played the eyes, held his depth, and jumped the route like he knew it was coming, and maybe he did. That's how dialed in he is right now. He's flying around in run support, picking up tight ends and coverage, and blitzing off the edge with the violence. If the season started tomorrow, Milano would be in mid-season form. Greg Rousseau might be the biggest beneficiary of the scheme change. His length, his power, and his ability to squeeze the pocket are being maximized. He's getting into throwing lanes, batting balls, and finishing reps with real urgency. What's scary is that he's not doing this in full live contact scenarios yet. Once the pads stay on and the games count, Rousseau could very well take that next step and become a true Pro Bowl level presence. Ed Oliver is back to playing with juice. On run-heavy days, he's dominating his gaps. On pass rush days, he's shooting through interior lanes with explosion. When Oliver is playing downhill and aggressive, he's one of the most disruptive defensive tackles in the league. That's not hyperbole. That's just what happens when he trusts his instincts and lets his speed work for him. And don't forget about Shaq Thompson. For a guy who's had back-to-back years ended by major injuries, we're talking a broken fibula followed by an Achilles tear. He doesn't look like someone who's lost a step. If anything, he looks rejuvenated. With Terrell Bernard still nursing a hamstring, Thompson has stepped in and done everything asked of him. Covered backs, read screenplays, blitzed with purpose, and communicated like a seasoned leader. He may have been a late addition, but he's making a case to stick around when final cuts come. Offensively, things have been a bit more inconsistent. Not unexpected when you're down half your receiving core, but that doesn't mean there haven't been positive signs. The Bills are experimenting, adding wrinkles, and trying to build flexibility into the playbook. The use of the pistol formation stood out this week. James Cook lined up deep with Reggie Gilliam offset, created a nice power run look that could easily turn into play action or motion-based misdirection. Ed Oliver blew it up during practice, but the design was solid, and it gives the offense another look to keep defenses honest. The two-back sets are also being featured more. Cook and Gilliam, Johnson and Davis. The Bills are clearly trying to figure out how to rotate and complement their backs in creative ways. It's not just about handing off and hitting holes anymore. It's about matchup football. It's about formation diversity and giving Allen as many tools as possible to diagnose and punish. And then there's the trickery. The hook and lateral plays were a surprise. It's not often you see 3 different attempts of the same trick concept in one practice. But what that tells you is the Bills want to push the boundaries of execution. They want to test timing, spacing, and situational awareness in a way that mimics real pressure moments. And while the results varied, the execution was clean. That's progress. Jackson Hall, the tight end flying under the radar, continues to make the most of his expanded reps. With DAWSON KNOX sidelined and Kincaid easing back from knee soreness, Hall has gotten plenty of looks with the first unit. As a blocker, he's every bit the tone setter they expected him to be. But what's turning heads is his ability to contribute in the passing game. No, he's not going to stretch the seam or run vertical routes, but he's been reliable on short crosses, bench routes, and checkdowns. If he can be even a threat in the flat while delivering impact blocks on run plays, he'll carve out a real role on this roster. Khalil Shakir's development might be the sneaky key to the passing offense this year. Everyone knows what he can do after the catch. He's slippery smart and always fights for extra yardage. But now we're seeing him push his route tree deeper. Slot fades, corner routes deeper, dig patterns. Shakir is starting to stretch the field vertically, and that's massive. If he becomes a true 3-level slot threat, it changes how teams have to defend Buffalo's offense. It takes pressure off Diggs. It opens the middle of the field for Kincaid. It gives Allen a reliable target against 2 deep looks. That's evolution. And it's happening now. As we look ahead, Thursday's return to practice and Friday's blue and red scrimmage are going to provide even more clarity. More names will emerge. Some will fade. But one thing's for sure. This camp, despite the setbacks and injury concerns, is revealing a lot about the Bills' depth identity and hunger. This isn't just a team trying to stay afloat in the AFC. This is a team trying to reload, not rebuild. And even with key players missing time, there's no shortage of competition intensity and belief building inside that locker room. Coming up, we'll be breaking down Thursday's camp observations in full detail, going deeper into the wide receiver battle and taking a look at what to expect from the blue and red event. Stick around. Before we dive back in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest Buffalo Bills updates straight to your screen. And hey, don't hold back. Let us know your thoughts on today's news down in the comments. The NFL rumor mill is heating up with a potential shakeup that could send shockwaves through Buffalo and beyond. Sources close to the situation suggest that DAWSON KNOX, the Buffalo Bills' talented tight end, might be on the verge of departing the franchise. This news has ignited a frenzy among fans, analysts, and insiders alike, as KNOX has been a crucial piece of the Bills' offensive puzzle in recent seasons. DAWSON KNOX, known for his imposing physicality and reliable hands, quickly established himself as a key target for quarterback Josh Allen. Over the past years, KNOX's contributions have helped the Bills become one of the most dynamic offenses in the league. His ability to make contested catches in the red zone and stretch the field with his athleticism has earned him a reputation as one of the top tight ends in the NFL. Yet despite his on-field success, whispers from the league suggest that his days in Buffalo could be numbered. Speculation is swirling about why KNOX might be considering a departure. Some insiders point to contract negotiations that have yet to bear fruit. KNOX reportedly desires a deal that reflects his value and impact on the field, but the Bills appear hesitant to meet those demands fully. The negotiation stalemate might be creating tension behind the scenes, opening the door to other teams who see KNOX as a prime target to bolster their own offenses. Moreover, the Bills' roster dynamics might be evolving, with emerging young talents and potential new signings prompting the franchise to reassess its long-term plans at the tight end position. The front office may be considering reallocating resources or drafting fresh talent, which could signal a changing role for KNOX in the coming years. The ripple effects of a potential KNOX departure extend beyond Buffalo's locker room. Other NFL teams have reportedly expressed strong interest in acquiring the tight end, knowing the boost he could provide to their offensive schemes. Teams in need of a reliable, game-changing tight end might be preparing offers, setting the stage for what could become one of the more intriguing player movements this offseason. Fans of the Bills are understandably unsettled by the possibility. KNOX has become a fan favorite, not only for his on-field heroics, but also for his leadership and work ethic. Losing him would be a significant blow to Buffalo's offensive continuity, especially considering their recent runs deep into the playoffs. For KNOX, the decision to leave or to stay carries huge implications for his career trajectory, legacy, and potential to compete for a Super Bowl title. While the situation remains fluid, it's clear that DAWSON KNOX's status with the Bills is a major storyline to watch as the NFL offseason progresses. The buzz surrounding this potential departure is intensifying, with every development closely monitored by media and fans alike. Whether KNOX will remain the cornerstone of Buffalo's offense or embark on a new chapter elsewhere is a question that may soon be answered. In a league where change is constant and surprises are always around the corner, the possible exit of DAWSON KNOX from the Bills could redefine the team's offensive identity and shift the balance of power in the AFC East. Until official announcements come, this rumor will continue to spark debate, speculation, and excitement across the NFL landscape. The next few weeks promise to be critical in shaping not only KNOX's future, but the direction of one of football's most promising teams. That's a wrap for now. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay on top of all things Buffalo Bills, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. We'd love to hear what you think in the comments. See you in the next update.